If I was allowed to have only one prime lens, then it would definitely be a 40mm one. I find that focal length so versatile that I can imagine to take that one only as a one-lens solution for traveling. When I switched system to Nikon, I immediately bought the 40mm f2 prime. This is a cheap, basic prime lens, but it has autofocus and it has a relatively bright f2 aperture. A couple of years ago, when I used Sony, there was only one 40mm solution, the Voigtlander NOKTON 40mm f1.2. So I bought that one, and I fell in love with it. Not long ago, it was released in Nikon Z mount. And the Nikon shooters like it a lot too. But how does this 40mm Nikon Prime compares to the 5 times more expensive Icon? Let's find out. The difference here is night and day. The Voigtlander is a beautifully engineered piece of art. The Nikon, let's say, manufactured to be very affordable. While the body of the Voigtlander is fully made of metal, even the lens hood, the Nikon is fully made of plastic, even the lens mount. The Voigtlander is a manual focus lens, but it features electronic contacts and the chip which allows to transfer all the necessary data to the EXIF. And it enables all of the juicy Nikon manual focus aids like subject recognition and focus confirmation. The focus ring is perfectly damped and is a joy to use. The aperture ring is clicky and has just the right amount of resistance. Nikon released 2 versions of their 40mm f2 lens, the normal one, which I have, and an SE version which has more of a retro look. Other than their different look, they are identical both optically and feature-wise. It has autofocus, which is fast, quiet and accurate. It doesn't have an aperture ring, and the manual focusing works the usual focus by wire bay. It doesn't come with the lens hood, you need to buy it separately. If we put the 2 lenses side by side, you can see that they are almost the same size. The Voigtlander is metal bead, hence it weighs more. I tested the 2 lenses on my 24 megapixel Nikon Z5 Mark II body. First, here are 2 images with the Voigtlander at f1.2. At f2, the Voigtlander shows just a little bit more sharpness in the center. The corners look more or less the same. From f2.8 onwards, I can't really see too much of a difference in the center of the frame. The Voigtlander always shows a bit more micro contrast, which has an effect on the perceived sharpness. Both lenses are excellent on the 24 megapixel sensor. The corners looks approximately the same from f2.8 onwards. By about f4, f5.6, both lenses reach the peak performance. And at the usual f8, f11 landscape photography apertures, they perform flawlessly. As usual, all of the images of this review can be found in a Google Photos album. And I'll put the link in the description below, in case you like to check out the images in full resolution. At f16, diffraction softens the images, but they are still well within the usable limits. I have to mention that although I wouldn't recommend it, you can stop down the Voigtlander to f22. The Nikon has a limit at f16. You have to be very careful with the Voigtlander lens. It exhibits quite a bit of focus shift. This image was focused at f5.6 and then I opened up the aperture to f1.2 and look what happened. these other images, which is focused at open aperture at f1.2. Look how much the difference is. The Nikon also shows focus shift, but it's not really a problem because it's an autofocus lens and the body is always focusing at the working aperture. When we look at the bokeh, the out-of-focus rendering, the Voigtlander has a huge advantage, the f1.2 aperture. This is why I like this lens. It has this kind of dual character. Up to about f1.8, it creates a beautiful, dreamy, hazy look. But above f2, it's clinically sharp, just as any other modern lens. Okay, the Voigtlander has an f1.2 aperture, but how does the bokeh look like at f2, and how does the bokeh look like on the Nikon at f2? The Nikon has 7 straight-bladed aperture. The Voigtlander has 10 straight-bladed aperture. So again, the advantage is at the Voigtlander. Both lenses behave quite good against flare and ghostings. I pointed the camera towards the sun and tried to provoke the lenses and see what kind of flare and ghosting effects I could create. The Voigtlander behaved a little bit better, but the Nikon 40mm f2 was also quite good, so I can't complain at all for a lens which has a retail price around 180–200 pounds. If we'd like to compare the Sunstars, the Nikon has a really difficult job. The Voigtlander lens with the 10 straight-bladed aperture is the king of the Sunstars, at least for me. So here are some sample photos I took. To be honest, I was struggling to create a Sunstar pointing the camera towards the sun with the Nikon lens. The Voigtlander had no problem at all. So I had to do some tricks with the Nikon to hide behind the windmill and try to create the Sunstar in that way. First, let's discuss the price. The Voigtlander retails around £729 and you can buy it used for roughly £600. The Nikon retails around £200 as new, and you can buy it from the used market for around £150–170. The SE version costs a little bit more. So I have to say the Nikon has a terrific value. If you're not bothered by the plastic build and the Sunstars are not high on your priority list, then the Nikon is a must-have lens. In case you are after the beautiful Sunstars and the perfect manual focusing experience, and you are happy to pay a little bit more for the ultimate thin depth of field and the beautiful colors and rendering, then I can highly recommend the Voigtlander. I hope you have found some value in today's comparison. If you did, then please like the video. And in case you like the content on my channel, then please subscribe. See you soon, and may the light be with you all.